this video, I am going to go over how to make a very basic slab dish using a hump mold. And I have one that I started right over here that I'll go over later on in the video. But a few things that you're going to want to have are a little template to cut out, some type of circular form. This one I measured specifically for the bowls we're going to be doing. And you're going to want a slab of clay. You're going to want to make sure that your slab fits your template. If not, you could either adjust your slab size or adjust your template size. Very, very important before we do anything, you're going to want to go in with a rib tool and smooth out any of the canvas marks. We are going to be doing a sgraffito on these specific bowls, but no matter what type of bowl you're doing or what kind of dish, it's always good to smooth out that texture before you go in and do anything else. So we want to start nice and smooth, nice and fresh, and try to keep it as level as you can. And then I'm just going to flip it over. Be nice and gentle with it, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Make sure you're not pressing too hard when you are smoothing these with your rib tool, because you don't want them to stick to the board. Sometimes when doing this, I find it helpful to put like a sheet of paper underneath if your clay is really, really soft or fresh. So everything looks good, looks pretty smooth. I'm gonna go in later and touch up some of the clay that got mixed in from the slab roller, but for now, it's fine just to go in and cut out my template. You're gonna take your circular template, place it down. It doesn't have to be this large, it could be a little bit smaller if you want it to be. And you're gonna take your pin tool and you wanna press straight down against the template. So you don't want to have it on an edge. We want to try to get a nice even lip around our dish. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to just try to hold it straight up and down. Sometimes when I'm tracing around, I'll kind of like cut out a little bit there because I think it's easier to then go in and cut the rest by taking just that little extra piece off. And do your best with this. We're gonna go in, we're gonna really smooth up the lip after we go ahead and use the mold. So if it's not perfect, that's okay. It's definitely gonna have a little bit of alterations to do later on. Now, when you guys roll out a slab and cut out a simple form like that, you're always gonna have so much extra clay left. Rather than just leaving it, you know, with all the scraps like this, make sure that you're really compressing it together and you're gonna ball it up. And this is just gonna help keep the clay fresher longer so that when we go ahead and we put it back in the bag later on, you have a nice fresh piece of clay rather than all the little scraps which could dry out quick. So now I have my circular shape and I'm going to be using a mold to go ahead in and form this. The first thing I like to do though is go in and just smooth up the edges. And you can use your hand for this. You can use a rib tool on the top part if you want to, and kind of smooth it over the sides, but I personally like to just use my hand. And this is just to help smooth it to get started. Like I said, it's okay if it's not perfect. Then I'm just gonna flip it. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side so that I have nice smooth edges for when I go ahead and drape it over my mold. Now this slab is a little bit thicker. We're gonna be working with slightly thinner slabs in class, so it'll be easier. I just had rolled these out when I had the slab roller set to a little bit of a larger setting. Smooth, smooth, smooth. All right. So now I have my circle, and I'm gonna do this a little bit cooking show style. After you have your circle, we're gonna be using a plaster mold to go ahead in and actually drape it over. Now I have multiple sizes of these in class, so you kind of gauge it based on your design. You could edit your design a little bit if you want to, based on the size of the bowl you wanna make. This one's been setting up on here for, I don't know, I wanna say like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And what happens is the plaster soaks up moisture from the clay and it'll let it start to form into whatever shape that you have it on. So I'm gonna slowly pick this up and you'll see that it's not really flimsy anymore. I have a pretty firm little dish and I'm gonna go over how to touch up those edges in a few minutes. That was lovely. Now for these, I think it's always helpful to have a little egg crate underneath. It gives you a little bit more bounce when you're pressing your slab down. And we're gonna find approximately the center of this, and I usually like to use my nicer side of the slab to place onto the plaster. And I'm gonna find about the middle, and I'm not gonna press it down yet until I feel like kind of towards the middle. And I don't want to just press this down right away. First, I want to compress the top part, make sure nice and gently that it's conforming to the bottom. And then I'm going to slowly go in and rest my hands over the edges. You're not going to want to do it too hard because that's going to kind of curl the clay up. You want to just go nice and gentle, pushing down, making sure that your bowl is draping over and beginning to form, and it should touch the plaster on all the sides. So it might take a little while to get it to shape up. That is okay. Like I said, we'll probably leave these set for about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Should be good to get it to where we want to be for this particular project. So I'm gonna set this one aside. I'm gonna let this firm up and I'm gonna use it for another demo when we do Sgraffito. So now I have my little dish. You could see that the edges of it are really kind of crusty. What I wanna do is I wanna go in and I wanna smooth those up. I wanna tidy those up. I wanna make it look all nice and pretty. So I'm gonna take just a little bit of clay. And there's a few different ways you could go about approaching the situation. The first one I would do is go in and just try to kind of slowly like pinch the areas a little bit and smooth them with your hand. I love that the people next door decided to have the gardeners come. So pinching very, very lightly and then going in and just kind of smoothing across with your finger. And this should be good to get it like, you know, pretty close to where you want it. However, you might have some little indents like this that are, you know, an imperfection that you're not going to really be able to smooth out totally and completely. So I might just go in with a little extra clay, kind of guesstimate about the size of the little patch I need to fill, kind of like when we did coil pots, tap it in and just smooth it over. And you could build up a little bit at a time as needed. Remember, this is going to be pretty much your canvas for your Sgraffito. So we want to make sure that it's nice and smooth and as even as you could get it before we go ahead and do so. Your design is going to take up so much of the space on here that the edges, you know, they're not going to really be the main focus, but we do want to go in and try to get them all the same size. Like I said, I'm going to go through here and I'm just going to lightly pinch and smooth. So we want to make sure everything's nice, crisp, clean. If you get a little bit of damage to the inside of your bowl from when you were resting it onto the mold. You could go in and just smooth that out. You could add a little tiny bit of clay if you want to, or you could just go in and smooth with your rib tool. I'm going to continue to work on this for a while, and I don't want to spend all this time because I'm already 10 minutes in on making this bowl. But essentially pinch, 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 really take your time on it so that you have a nice even little dish like this. Even though it hasn't been 5 minutes, I'm going to take a look at this one I have here. I'm going to pop it off, and you could see it's already begun to form to the shape. All right, so these are gonna be nice shallow dishes so that we have a really beautiful surface to do sgraffito on. You could see these edges need to definitely be pinched and smoothed and all that good stuff, but this is the basics to creating your slab bowl. So you have your slab, you have your template, and then you're going to choose which size hump mold that you want to use and make sure that you're using the egg crate. So we're going to get these started today, and they're all going to be really pretty.